This single moment turned Eala versus Aryna Sabalenka into something far bigger than a matchup. It turned it into a quiet war, not sparked by a scream, a handshake gone wrong, or a match point, but by a subtle turning point that most people missed at first. One moment, misunderstood and magnified, that split fans, ignited timelines, and transformed quiet respect into loud rivalry. It didn't just create tension, it created sides. And once that invisible line was crossed, there was no going back. Eala was never supposed to enter this conversation so soon. She arrived without noise, without hype, without the heavy expectations that bend young players. To most of the tennis world, she was simply promising. Disciplined, respectful, talented, someone to watch later. But later arrived faster than anyone expected. Match by match, Eala stopped playing like someone grateful just to be there. Her strokes sharpened, her movement settled, and her composure stayed intact when others blinked. She didn't celebrate wildly or provoke attention. She walked back to the baseline and repeated excellence as if she had always belonged. And that's when whispers turned into unease. What if she wasn't just a story? What if she was a threat? That's when comparisons began, and the cameras lingered longer. Her name started appearing next to one that defined power on the WTA Tour, Aryna Sabalenka. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Sabalenka embodied raw force, emotion, dominance, a player who crushed opponents and dared the world to react. Eala represented patience, control, and something more unsettling than power, belief. Every underdog needs a mountain, and to the tennis world, Sabalenka was that mountain. The narrative built itself loudly and quickly. Could Eala handle that intensity? Could she survive that pressure? Yet what made people uncomfortable was simple. She didn't look intimidated. Confidence without noise doesn't ask for permission, and in that silence, the seeds of conflict are planted. Sabalenka has never entered tournaments quietly. She arrives like a storm already in motion, every swing carrying weight, every roar releasing pressure. Years of battling doubt, critics, and her own emotions shaped her dominance. She didn't just win matches, she controlled space, energy, and belief. But dominance isn't only about winning, it's about being unquestioned. And suddenly, questions were everywhere, not from Sabalenka herself, but from fans building a story in real time, post by post, clip by clip. For the first time, her name was being used as a measuring stick, not a final destination, and that's where tension truly begins. The moment that changed everything didn't even happen on court. No argument, no confrontation, no broken protocol. It was a comment, a clip, a reaction pulled out of context and amplified by thousands of voices at once. Timelines flooded with comparisons. Eala's calm beside Sabalenka's fire. Words like fear, arrogance, and disrespect circulated without ever being claimed. Fans chose sides before either player did. Some framed Eala as the future. Others fiercely defended Sabalenka's earned dominance. Truth became secondary because perception moves faster than reality. And once the language shifted from tennis to war, there was no reversing it. What followed was pressure without resolution. Eala was placed under a microscope, every mistake magnified, every win debated. Sabalenka carried the burden of expectation against an opponent she hadn't even faced. That's the cost of imagined battles. You're judged for outcomes that never happened. Neither player declared war, yet both were changed by what the world believed they represented. Maybe this wasn't a rivalry born on court. Maybe it was a warning about how quickly admiration becomes conflict, how easily fans weaponize hope, and how athletes inherit narratives they never agreed to tell. And if these two ever meet, the tension will already be there, written long before the first serve. Proof that sometimes the most explosive rivalries aren't played into existence, but imagined into reality.